So we have mastered the basics of Camtasia now. You're able to bring basic clips in and you can edit them and you can cut them and you can snip them together. So it's time to start building on that now. In this section of Camtasia, we're going to be looking at different transitions and zoom and pan and callouts and other visual properties. So I'm going to start you with the basics. There's something called built into Camtasia that's called transitions. And transitions is something that you're going to be using a lot. So let's start with the basics of it. I'll give you an overview of how they work. We have our clip in we're already familiar with. And when you go over a few tabs, you see something that's called transitions. So we'll just click on that. By the way, if at some point you don't see the transitions tab, you just click on more here. And depending on which other tab I bring up, it may replace that last tab. So you can always get it back by clicking on more and clicking on transitions. So not to worry if it disappears on you. And we have a number of transitions here. We have barn doors, blinds, checkerboard, circle, circle stretch, and on the list goes. There are a lot of really cool transitions in Camtasia, and some of them are also a little bit more distracting. For example, the spiral or the wheel can be a little bit more distracting. Now, if you're not sure of how a transition looks, you can always right-click it and click on the preview button. And it will show you for each transition how that application actually looks. Let's just look at another one. Maybe the radial blur here. We'll click again on the preview button. And this is a very handy little feature because it allows you to preview it before you actually apply your transition. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to apply a transition. And you have a couple easy ways of doing that. Let's just choose a fade transition, and I'm going to apply it to our PowerPoint's tip here, which is that screen we have seen earlier already. And I have one of two options right now. I can click on it, and as soon as I do that, you can see that PowerPoint tips clip now shows highlighted. I'm just going to let this go again and click on it again. And as soon as I click on it and move my mouse a little bit, it highlights the transition. So it allows me to bring this transition to either the beginning or the end of that clip. And I'm just going to apply it to the beginning. So I'm just going to drag my mouse onto the clip. And you can see that little blue square appearing, and I'll let go. And now we have created that transition right here. I'm just going to show you how that looks. Top of what I'm saying as well. Limit text to essential key points on don't. And you can see it's fading in. Now I can, if I want that same transition for an exit, I just take that again and I apply it to the exit right here. And as I go to the end of it, you can see how it applies. And we have a nice simple fade out. Fading in, fading out is always an easy transition to use. You can never go wrong with it, but you can certainly play with other transitions as well. Now I'm just going to delete that transition. Let's say I have applied a transition I don't want. I just right click it and I click delete, and I right click the end one and I click delete. That allows you to delete that transition you have just applied. But let's say I want to now apply the iris transition, but I already know I want to apply the transition to the beginning as well as the end of it. So what Camtasia has built in is a function where I can right click and say add to selected media. And as you can see now, we have the little squares appearing on both the beginning as well as the end of that clip. And I'm just going to go in here and we can watch. Slides that we're presented with. And we have a nice little iris transition out, and the same thing happening in the beginning. That's as easy as that to apply transitions. In the next lecture, I'll show you some more cool things you can do with it, but this covers the basics, and this will get you going if you're just starting out with transitions. And I'll show you a few more tricks in the next lecture as well, how you can use that at a more advanced level.